going on? What's going on, everyone? We're looking at another session in the markets today. It is Thursday, 2nd of March, 2019. What a bloodbath we had yesterday in the markets. Sell off across the board. I think real estate was the only sector actually trading in the green at the close. SPY closed down 2 points. Had its went a little bit of red to green in midday. Then obviously peaked out at 295 and came crashing down. So down 2.5 points on the close. Obviously bringing a lot of stocks with it. Got some significant trades, positions we're looking at today going in the session. We have right now we have 10 on watch, and as we always do, we wait for our price to come to us, wait for our plans to set up. And when price is ready to go, then we'll step in. Otherwise, we wait and watch and wait and watch. If nothing sets up, we don't do it. So it's that simple, guys. So we're looking in session. Let's get this thing going. All right. So we're starting with INTU. Intuit had some pretty shitty news coming out that out of New York, looking into some fraudulent activity from the company. So it obviously sold off quite a bit throughout the day. And unless it bounces back after the market opens, anticipate some more fading down to the 240 level. So we're like a few more points to the downside. So obviously we're going to see how the market reacts to this thing in the morning. But this is what we got on watch for the first bit of the day. All right, next up we get MGPI. MGPI, as you can see, closed down over 20 points. So I had a little bit of a trim yesterday in the markets. Again, across the board, everybody was bleeding, but let's see if this thing is going to continue. Technically, there's nothing in the way for a couple more points to the downside, so we're going to see how obviously the market treats this thing after the dust settles. And if it starts to trade below VWAP, we'll step in and see if we can manage risk properly and get in and fade this thing out. Disney, obviously had their significant run up, ran into resistance on 29th, put in some lower highs and lower lows. That being said, there's still some meat on the bone to the downside if it's not finding any support right now. It's hard to tell where this. Obviously, you can always do a 50% retracement from the highs, but this is kind of an unusual situation. So we'll see if this thing's going to trade a little bit more, a little selling off to the downside. So we'll see. Keep an eye on this thing. If it gives us some opportunities, we'll step in. But this one's going to be trading with caution because Squeeze obviously adamant. They had some action after market when the after hours yesterday when the market closed down. So we'll see how it's going to go into the session, and we'll go from there. CLX sold off but over almost 11.5 points yesterday and closed in the low of the day, crossing over pretty significant moving average on the weekly. On the daily. And so we obviously there's a couple more points to the downside. As far technically, we don't see anything stopping this thing. So obviously, it shows some weakness after market makers do what they do in the morning, trying to suck in the buyers. If it trades dips below VWAP anytime in the morning session, we'll definitely step in and ride this thing to our target area. SITE, obviously, as you can see, down almost a little over 6 points. And on the daily, it has that uptrend going on since March. Pullback running into the 200-day. Could be looking at a few more points to the downside if it starts to trade below. We'll see how the market reacts to this thing as always in the morning, and we'll do what we do. BLKB down 6 points and been trading sideways for pretty much the whole month of April. You had the 50-day holding up, and it just broke through that thing and had pretty strong down day yesterday in the market. So we like this thing. I would see a couple more points to the downside as well. So we see if we can run into its support back in October 2018, and if it starts showing some weakness, that will be the target area for us. Garmin, GRMN actually has sell off yesterday on earnings. Broke through that 50-day on the daily, and it's kind of open waters to that 75 level. So it tried to close relatively quote unquote strong, but not sure that it's going to start filling this gap. But we're looking at maybe a day two of this thing, so see if it breaks the lows of the day yesterday. If so, then we'll step in and do what we do. Next up, Edison International EIX obviously down 3.5 points, and crossing over the two significant moving averages. Try to find a little bit of love in midday, but got stuffed out and traded below VWAP towards the close. So showing some weakness, trading at the low of the day. That's day two continuation for us candidates. So we'll keep an eye on this thing. Not too much meat on the bone, maybe a point and a half, but it shows it has an optimal entry for us. We'll definitely step in and enjoy this thing. If not, we'll push this thing to the wayside. HRTX obviously had a significant gap down yesterday. Closed almost down 4 points. Looked like it was going to retrace and fill that gap right after the session began. But as you can see, it got weak and faded off. Closed below VWAP at the end of the day. And so, definitely keep an eye on this thing. I mean, it might just be bounce and continue on that uptrend to the 22 level. We'll see. We'll see how this thing is going to react. We'll see how the market, treats this thing after the dust settles, and go from there. But eyes on watch for this thing for a couple more points to the downside. All right, guys. Last up, Pinterest. Pinterest obviously had that runoff yesterday, or actually on on Tuesday. Ran into its resistance, and faded out all day yesterday, or on Tuesday, and then yesterday found a little bit of love in the low 30s, got a little bit of bounce, but ended up trading below VWAP, broke down below, and got stuffed out a couple times. Traded to the low of the day. Near the low of the day. So, we're going to keep an eye on this thing. Obviously, from its IPO, it's been running significantly. So it's found a little bit of resistance. We're going to see where it puts in this floor at. And if it's going to continue, obviously we like another, point, let's say a point to the downside if it finds some support from Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll trade this thing. It put in some lower lows. So showed some signs of weakness. And maybe sellers taking some profits. So we'll see. We'll see how the market treats this thing, and we'll trade this thing cautiously. Wait for setups to form for us. But we definitely look into this downside for this thing. So we got what do we got? We got 10 going into the session, and as always, we're very patient with our setups. Wait for price to come to us, and diligent with our stops. So if you want to know what we're doing, how we're checking these stocks, how we're trading these stocks, how we build our watch list, answer that question why, come check out the site at thestreettrading.com, and we will sort you out on the 90-day course. All right, guys, have a great day in the markets, and we will check you later.